Alright, I'm bringing you a video today based on the back of a recently released Trade in the Market (TTM) video that came out on YouTube probably yesterday or the day before. That it's not new. So basically, if you've seen one of my most recent videos, I try to explain the benefits of a group of traders called Trade in the Market, where absolutely everything they produce is free. They don't recommend paying for anything online, any systems or any advice, because you can get it all free with them. So if you did sign up with them, then you may have already seen this video. If you didn't sign up with them, just do a search for them on YouTube called Trade in the Market, and you'll find them on there. Or go back and watch my previous video about them, see what they're all about. But in the last day or two, like I say, they've brought out a video called the Upside Down Taxi. That's what this UDT stands for. And I had a look at it and I thought, oh, that's interesting, because a lot of the time they tell you need to be sitting watching the games and stuff, whereas this video didn't. And basically, if you watch it, a guy, I think it was James, I'm not sure, he's got a half-time game up on his screen, and he's actually using BetAngel, but you can use Betfair Exchange as well. And the game's at 4-0, and so basically what you do, you go 2.5 goals higher. So you trade on this. If it's 4-0, there's 4 goals obviously at half-time, and you trade on the market if it's you go 2.5 goals higher. So he was trading on the 6 point over and under 6.5 market. Now, you basically lay over 6.5 if the odds are between 2.5 and 4, which is reasonably low, so your liability isn't going to be massive. And you get out after 10 minutes, and hopefully there hasn't been a goal, and you make a profit. And to be honest, in Betfair Bot Manager, I'm going to show you today how to automate that, because it looks like a reasonable strategy. I do have a couple of reservations. Apparently they did produce a video some time back on this strategy, the Upside Down Taxi. I have no idea why it's called that. But they did produce a video on that, which I need to go back and watch, because to see if it has any more information than yesterday's video did. So anyway, what I've done is what I normally do when I start these strategies, you can see I've set up 5 there. The problem with Betfair Bot Manager is you need 1 for each scenario, because you can't say, right, at half time, if there's been like 1 goal, bet on the 3.5 market. If there's been 2 goals, bet on the 4.5 market. You need to specify you're going to do this if there's been 1 goal, you're going to do this if there's been 2 goals in separate strategies. That should be self-explanatory once I go through this. But what I normally do when I first start a strategy is I just copy one of the examples. So I actually copied football one, lay the draw, because it's the only football one in there by the looks of it. So I copied that into this 0 one. If I drop it down, I'm going to show you what I've done on it. So there's been no bets. I started these going last night. What day is it today? It's Saturday, 10:30 in the morning. I started this going last night. You can see we've lost £7.45 on there, the 3 goal. And I'm going to show you that in more detail as we go through, and why we lost that money. So the market conditions then, the first one is we only want to allow betting when the current match scores one of the following scores, and we've set that to 0-0, and half-time scores are checked. So if I click on that one to look at the rule, then you can see here, this is my strategy for it being 0-0 at half-time, so there's no goals scored. So we place a lay bet on the 2.5 goal market, over or under 2.5, because we need that 2.5 goal gap. And then if there's no goal in the first 10 minutes of the second half, then we make a profit. If there's a goal, then we're liable to lose money. So they only need to score. We need to select here as 0-0, but we also need to check this box to say that we only want to check half-time scores instead of the current score, because typically you'd use this rule in Betfair Bot Manager to check the current score and place a back bet or place a lay bet depending on the current score. But obviously it's got this option here where you can check the half-time score instead of the current score. So we check that because all we want to do is check the half-time score. So basically this is going to check every single football match, and if the scores 0-0 at half time, it's going to continue checking the rules. Now here it's this skip the market rule. It's saying skip the market if trading volume is less than £30. On this lay the draw football example, this is actually set to £30,000, and the reason for that is it only wants to try and get on high profile games, so it needs to make sure there's £30,000 in the market. Now, as it's the end of the sort of our football season in the UK and Europe mainly, although there is some games in Iceland and Norway and stuff still going on, there's no way there's going to be any games that are like £30,000 other than like sort of the internationals that have just been as well. So there's absolutely nothing now. You're like looking at Singapore and Iceland and Norway leagues at the minute. So I've just temporarily or semi-permanently, whatever you want to say, I've reduced that from 30,000 down to 30. You'll see as well, just to mention, I'm just running this in simulation mode at the minute to make sure the strategies are working, and also when I jump onto my real mode, it's on a VPS server, so it runs a lot slower because I'm only running on mobile Wi-Fi still on the campsite here. And so to keep the video speedy and responsive, I have just run it. This is running locally on a Windows laptop. You might be able to hear the fan whizzing away. Anyhow, we've got skip the market if trade. You could actually remove that rule and it would just get on any rate on any match, but at 30 quid's nothing. So it's also sometimes used for to make sure there's enough liquidity in the market. There's people betting on the match, because if it's like one of these like fifth tier women's game friendly or something like that, then there might not even be much money at all on, but 30 quid should cater for that. Like I say, I could delete that, but I've left it in because if I start this up during the full football season, when it kicks back off again in August, I will probably use this strategy on that and up this up to 30,000, so we're getting on high profile games again. So here on the next rule, we're telling it to only follow markets over and under 2.5. So if I click on this one to edit this one, you can see there, these are all our markets down the right hand side, and you can see in this one we're looking at over and under 2.5. And obviously the reason for that is because we know there's no goals at half time, so we're looking to put a lay bet on it, the 2.5 market. So similarly, if there's one goal at half time on this next strategy, which I will go into briefly shortly, we check to see if there's one goal at half time, and then we put a trade in on the 3.5 over and under 3.5 market. We only want to bet on soccer, as it says. This is a weird one with Betfair Bot Manager. I don't know if anybody's noticed who uses BFBM, but it says soccer there, but it says football up here. And then if you like sort of click football and click save, I think it changes to football, which is proper weird because there's no option for soccer in the right hand side. And then this over rounds, this is just making sure that the back and lay prices are kind of similar, so they're like within like 100 and 115% of each other for back prices, and the lay prices is within 85 and 100. And that's just to make sure the market's mature, because sometimes you'll get like, if the market's like, say for a very low profile football game, and it's say 10:30 this morning, and it's due to kick off later tonight or even tomorrow, and you put a bet on, you can sometimes see, if you go into Betfair Exchange, you'll sometimes see like the back price might be like say 5-1, and then the lay price might be like 25-1. You don't want to be laying on the 25-1 because it's not mature enough. It's not got enough money in there. It's not got enough liquidity in that range there to make it a worthwhile bet. So that just makes sure that you're not just throwing a bet away. We have got other things in for that as well, which is obviously the lay price, which we'll come on to in the select conditions. So that's the end of the market conditions. That's all we need in there. You can delete these market conditions by clicking this cross on the left. You can add new ones by clicking on this plus. So when I click on this plus, you'll see that this is the market conditions here, that you can change it in here to the selection conditions, which we're going to come on to in a second. But you can select, if I just move this out of the way a bit, you can select any of these options down here by clicking on the plus sign, and then you get one of these entries once you've saved it. So where you've got there, football bet when scored, it's got a little tick there because we've already got that set, and you can see that's that one there. Traded volume will be another one on here. Market filters is another one. Event filters and overrounds. These are all rules down here. In here, you've got certain ones that are sports specific or market specific. So you can see all these football ones. If I go down, you've got racing ones which apply to the horse racing and greyhound racing. And then you've got tennis one, a few tennis ones here, and then you've got like the traded volume, unsettled markets, all things like that. You can do time to bet, so it gets on the bet 5 minutes before the match or something like that, but we don't need that because we're getting on these at half time. Okay, so if we move on to the selection conditions then. So this is where we specify, this is where we make sure we don't get on every single football game going where it's 0-0 at half time by specifying the layer price for the runner and buy position 2. If you're not familiar with the runner positions, which you won't be for every single market, so say if you've got, I'll use an easy example, you've got, say, a greyhound race where you've got 6 runners, traps 1 to 6. Runner 1 will be trap 1, runner 2 will be trap 2. And now the order they appear on the Betfair Exchange. So if you're on Betfair Exchange screen on your browser and you go into the win market for greyhounds, you'll see trap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's the running order. It's basically the running order. You don't get it confused with like the favourite. So then again, if you look at a football example, if you're doing the match odds for football, which is where you say a home team's going to win, the away team's going to win, or it's going to be a draw, there's 3 runners there, and home is runner 1, away is runner 2, and draw is runner 3. And again, if you load up the matched odds market for the football match on Betfair Exchange, you'll see that home's the first one listed, away, and then the draw. So similarly we're looking at the over and under 2.5 market, and all the over and under markets are the same. So the first one running position is under, and then the second running position is over, because you can back on the unders, or you can lay on the unders, or you can back on the over 2.5 and lay on the over 2.5. So it gets a little confusing in that respect, but all you need to know for this example is that running position 2 is the over market, and we want to lay. So if I click on this one, what you'll see here, as we've said, the following selection, runner by position 2. So we're going to check that the over 2.5 goals lay price is somewhere between 2.5 and 4. And that's really low, which means the bookies or the market is expecting a goal in the second half, or a few goals in the second half. It's expecting, that's the odds for getting 2.5 goals in the second half, because it's obviously 0-0 at half time. Okay, so I think that was one of my first questions. If you look at the YouTube video for TTM and you look at the comments, the first question was somebody asking about how do you profile the races then, because obviously you're going on very low odds, so you're expecting all these goals, so surely you're going to lose, which is a good question, and one I haven't got the answer for yet. I'm going to see if there's a reply to that message, and I'm also going to watch the other upside down taxi video if I can find it. So there again, this is to make sure the market's mature. We want the maximum ratio between the back and lay price to be 15%, because in this example here, there's absolutely no point in putting a lay bet on at 4 if the back bet's like say evens, like 1.0, 2.0, because it's way too low, and the spread between the back and the lay is far too big. So that just make sure you don't do that inadvertently. It's unlikely to be that for, like, say, a Premier League game, but it could well be that for, like, Singapore 4th tier game or something like that, where you might have no money in the back price, in the layer price, but you might have loads of money on the back bet. The odds might just vary wildly. So then this is just the bet types. This is saying, so we want to put a lay bet on runner position 2, because BFBM is very, very flexible and you can do loads of different things. But obviously we're checking position 2 and we're putting the lay bet on position 2. You can actually check different markets and everything, and then put a lay bet on or a back bet on whatever you want, like a favourite. In which case you would use a favourite as opposed to runner. You would use bet type by favourite position as a different rule when you click on the plus in here. So we're saying we want to put a lay bet on runner 2, which is the overs market, and only one bet per runner, because you can obviously put multiple bets on as well. So we tick that to make sure we only get one bet. If any of this is confusing, just probably I'd recommend replaying the video and keep pausing it if you wanted to set this up yourself. Or I can actually load these strategies up onto the Discord server in the football strategy section. If I just click a plus on here and we'll look at all the selection conditions, it defaults to the current one you're in, so it's defaulting to selection conditions there. You should be able to see bet type. So there you've got bet type by favourite position. So that's where if you want to put a bet on like the favourite, like if it was a horse race, a dog race, a football team, you're just putting a bet on the favourite, a tennis player. And then this is the one we're using here because it's obviously got a tick in it, bet type by runner position, because we don't want to put a bet on the favourite, we want to put a bet on the over 2.5 goal market. Okay, and that's all I've more or less got set. Price settings, that's just the standard. Price is worsened by 2 ticks. One thing I did notice in the video is that he had his odds of 2.5 and he placed a trade on Betfair for 2 ticks less, so he put it in 2.48. I haven't done that yet, but it's easy enough to modify to do that using this section here. I'm just going in because I'm on simulation mode at the minute. I'm just going in and doing I'm just doing this sort of current price to make sure it gets matched. Level stake is £10. I think he put a 200 on the video and won 60 odd pound. And then the only other thing is to hedge, so that's backing out. So you've done a lay bet. What hedging will do in this instance is put a back bet in. Now, as long as you lay at lower odds than your back, as the 10 minutes goes through in the second half, the price for the over 2.5 market will gradually get higher. As long as you put a back bet in to hedge, we're looking at 10 minutes here, so we're saying hedge after X number of seconds. It's not actually seconds, it's minutes in our case, because we've gone up to the minutes section. You can see there's 595 seconds and it goes to 10 minutes. As long as you put that back bet in, it'll be a higher price. So the trading rule is lay low, back high, and that doesn't matter whether you lay first and then back after, or back first and lay after. You should always, to make a profit, you will always need to lay low and back high. So if I get on this for 2.5, for example, as the first 10 minutes goes through the second half, that 2.5 should get higher and higher if there's no goal. Obviously, it'll drop if there is a goal, because it's more likely there's going to be 2.5 goals in the second half, if that's the case. And we're checking the lay price for being, we're only doing it active if it's in play, which it obviously is in the second half. So 10 minutes in the second half, we will put our hedge bet in. And that's regardless. We're getting out after 10 minutes regardless at the minute, because that's what they done in the video. So that's what I'm doing. And I think that's all I've got set here. Yeah, that's it. So I'll quickly go through the 1 goal strategy and just show you the difference. So the difference here is what we're doing here on this first rule. We're saying this is a strategy if there's been 1 goal at half time. So we're looking at 0-1 or 1-0 scoreline at half time. So you see there that both of those are the only 2 on this whole list where you've only had 1 goal at half time. Now, because we've had 1 goal at half time, we're betting on the under and over 3.5 markets. Everything else is the same. There's no difference after that. You're looking at 2.5 to 4. So what I've done initially was, after I copied the lay of the draw up here and called it UDT 0 goals, I just copied this 0-1 4 more times to cover the 1, 2, 3 and 4 goals. You'll find a lot of games at half time the odds will be a lot higher than 4, so you won't get on the bet. The reason being is because if it's like 0-0 at half time and it was expected there was a lot of goals in the first half, and there wasn't, and it's 0-0, the chances of there being 2.5 goals in the second half is less than, say, if there's been 4 goals at half time. So it's going to be interesting to see how these 5 perform. I'd certainly expect you'd expect more bets to go on the 3 and 4 goals, but then again, having said that, how many games have had 4 goals in the first half? So he didn't actually say as well in the video. His example was where there was 4 goals in the first half. It was 4-0 to the home team. Now, to me, that's crying out for another, say, 2.5 goals in the second half, 3 goals. But, maybe not. The home team might relax off, so that might be an edge there we've got. So I'll show you that this third one is exactly the same again, but this time we're looking at matches where there's been 2 goals at half time. So you can see here now we've got the 0-2, the 1-1, and the 2-0 ticked because all those add up to 2 goals at half time. And we want to again check the half time score. And then this time we're looking at the 4.5 markets because we've already got 2 goals. We've already had 2 goals in the game, so we're looking at 4.5 because we're adding 2.5 on. And then this third one, which is where I had a bet last night, and I'll show you what happened. It wasn't favourable. It was off to the worst start ever. It's great where you watch these videos and everybody gets off to a brilliant start. I don't think I've ever got off to a good start on a new strategy ever. I might say something about my strategies though rather than anything else. So this one we're saying there's 3 goals at half time. So we've got the 0-3, the 1-2, the 2-1 and the 3-0 checked. So that's just something to get your head around there. You're just looking at all the combinations that add up to 3 goals and checking them. And again, this time we got on the over under 55. So on this game yesterday then, I believe, and I'll try and show you this in a second, but it was 2-1 to the home team at half time. So we put a lay bet in at 3.35, which falls between our 2.5 and 4 odds. And then in typical Mr. D fashion, the second half kicks off and there's a goal within 2 minutes. It felt like a minute. I thought it was the 46th minute, but when I looked at the stats, I think it was the 47th minute. So 2 minutes after the first half, 2 minutes into the second half, there was a fourth goal, and it went to the home team. So by the time 10 minutes was up, it hedged at the back bet for over 5.5 goals was 1.92. So I got out of that. So you can see I lost £7.45 on that one trade out of me £10. So it was quite a big hit of the £10 that was lost. It'll be interesting to see when we do get some winners where there's no goals in the first 10 minutes, how much profit we make, because that's quite a bit to make up already. If you're only talking like, say, a quid profit for each one, and I'm not even sure if that's right or wrong yet because I haven't had a winner, then this is going to take quite a bit to recover. It's going to take about 8 winning trades to recover. What I'm going to do, what was that team? It was Hopa Vogon. It was 8.15 last night. I'm going to jump out of the markets tab and see if I can find the game. It's far too far back. I must have loads. Right, so, oh no, 24th. Sorry, I'm too far forward. It was the 23rd yesterday. I'll just shoot back a bit to see if we can get back to 8.50. Oh, there it is there. So you can see this is the match here, and this is where we lost. What we can do here is we click on this, you can see the 2 trades again. But in this screen here, you can see we've got on the over 5.5 goal strategy. This is the strategy that we bet on. So we've got our lay bet first and then our back bet. And we lost 7.45. But what you can do here is if you click on this here, you can see the final score was 5-2 to the home team. So it was actually 7 goals. So if we hadn't got out after 10 minutes, we would have lost our whole liability, which would have been £10 times the 3.35 minus the £10 stake. But you can see here, it was 2-1 at half time. That ended 6-3 according to that. Oh no, 5-2, sorry. I was looking at that's the position in the league. So that was they were position 6th and they're 3rd in the league. Sorry, it was 5-2. 2-1 at half time. You can see there the home team scored after 26, the away team got an equaliser at 35, and then the home team scored at 38. So we got in at half time, put our bet on, and then 47. I don't know what that plus 47 means. Not normally signify it was like an injury time in the first half, but it definitely wasn't because it was 2-1 at half time. So anyway, in the 47th minute, they went 3-2 up. And then in the 55th minute, we got out just in time because that team got a fifth, which would have meant the odds tumbled even further from the 1.92 that we did get. So we were lucky to get out. And if we hadn't got out, like I say, there was definitely more than 5.5 goals. So we would have actually lost our whole liability. So in a way, we done well to limit the loss to 745, albeit it wasn't a very good loss because we only had a £10 stake on. But anyway, that's the strategy for the upside down taxi, as TTM called it. If you want me to have a look at any other videos that they bring out and try and automate them, I'm probably going to try and look at some of that software, because I know not everybody uses Betfair Bot Manager. It does work out quite expensive if you're paying it for by the month. I think it's 30 quid for the month, but I do a year subscription myself and I get it for I think it works out about 10 or 12 quid a month. In fact, last time this year I got some kind of discount for some reason from PayPal themselves, so it did work out only £10 a month for mine, including VAT, I think. But I am going to look maybe at some cheaper automation software, see if there's anything out there that can do this kind of thing. I'm not sure. If you want to leave it in the comments if things like BetAngel can do this kind of thing, or there's FairBot, and I think there's a couple others. There's the Market Feeder one as well. I need to have a little look at that. There's a few systems that'll automate stuff, but I'm not sure if it automates it to this kind of level, and whether some of these strategies are no go. The problem I've normally got with BFBM when I'm trying to simulate TTM strategies is the match selection. I'm a passive guy, okay? I'm not going to sit and do all my homework. I'm just going to get BF Bot Manager to do it. There's certain things you can do, but I'll show you those in a future video to make match selections, like shots on target and that in the first 10 minutes, things like that. That's sometimes good enough to get a winning strategy, and sometimes it isn't, and you have to play around with these things. So I'm going to leave these 4 running in simulation mode for a week or two, and I'll come back to them and see how they're getting on. Probably on a daily basis, see if we've had any more bets. Obviously, it's not the best time to be doing it at the minute because the football season's died a death. But we'll leave them running and see what happens. Okay, hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Gan Canny.